Story 1. I never believed in ghosts or curses until that night in the cabin. It started with a whisper in the wind, like someone calling my name from the trees. But let me tell you how it all went wrong. Maybe it'll keep you from making the same mistake. My name is Sarah, and Mike and I were so excited for our anniversary. We'd been together 5 years, and life in the city was grinding us down. We found this remote cabin online, tucked deep in the Pacific Northwest forests. The pictures showed misty woods, a cozy fireplace, and total seclusion. Perfect for romance, the listing said. We packed our bags, drove hours through twisting roads, and arrived just as the sun dipped behind the pines. The cabin was charming at first. Wooden walls, a big bed, and views of endless green. We unpacked, made dinner, and cuddled on the porch, watching the sky darken. But then the storm hit. It came out of nowhere, wind howling like a beast, rain slamming the roof like fists. Lightning cracked and boom, the power went out. Our phones? No signal. We were cut off, trapped inside with only candles and the fire for light. We huddled by the fireplace, trying to laugh it off. Mike wrapped his arm around me, saying, "This is adventure, babe." But then we heard it, scratching at the door. Slow, deliberate like nails on wood. I froze. "Probably a raccoon," Mike said, grabbing a flashlight. He opened the door, peering into the sheets of rain. Nothing, just darkness and mud. He shut it quick, but when he turned, we both saw them. Muddy footprints on the floor, leading right into the living room. They weren't ours. My heart pounded. "Mike, what the hell?" We wiped them up, but unease settled in. I couldn't sleep. Around midnight, whispers started. Faint at first, like wind through cracks, but then words. "Get out. They're coming." I shook Mike awake. "Did you hear that?" He listened, face pale. "It's the walls settling." But then a vase on the mantel flew across the room, shattering. We jumped. Objects kept moving, a chair scraping, books tumbling. In the bathroom mirror, I saw a flash, a blood-soaked woman staring back, her throat slit. I screamed, backing away. It was gone when Mike ran in. We searched the cabin for answers. Under the bed, Mike found an old diary, dusty and worn. It belonged to the previous owners, a couple like us. Entries described strange happenings, then terror. They came at night, masked, chanting. Ritual killers. They took us for their sick game. The last page. Escaped convicts, hiding in these woods. Police never caught them. My hands shook as I read. The murders happened right here years ago. Stabbed in a circle of candles, bodies left to rot. That's when my hallucinations started. I felt eyes on me, then visions. Me running through the woods, branches whipping my face, footsteps pounding behind. Shadowy figures with axes, laughing. I'd snap back, gasping, but it felt real. Mike tried to calm me, but he was scared too. "We need to leave," he said. We grabbed our keys and ran to the car in the rain, but the engine clicked dead. No lights, no nothing. We popped the hood, wires cut clean. Dawn was breaking, gray light filtering through the trees. That's when we saw them. Shapes in the tree line, watching. Not ghosts, real people, hooded, axes glinting. The storm wasn't natural. It was a lure. Speakers hidden in the woods blasting thunder, drawing us in like the diary said the originals did. These were copycats, twisted fans of the old killers, still roaming, picking victims. Panic hit. We barred the door, but they advanced slow, deliberate. One knocked, voice muffled. "Happy anniversary." Mike grabbed a poker from the fire. "Stay back," he yelled. They laughed, axes chopping the wood. Splinters flew. I hid in the bedroom, heart exploding. Whispers in my head, now screams. "Join us!" The door burst open. Mike swung, hit one, but they swarmed. Blood sprayed. His? Theirs? I ran for the window, glass shattering as I jumped. Woods swallowed me, rain mixing with tears. Branches clawed, feet sank in mud. Behind, axes thumped trees, closing in. I tripped, fell into a ditch, and there, bones, old skulls from past victims. They found me, dragged me back. Mike was gone, axe in his chest. They circled me, chanting, knives out. "You're the ritual now!" I screamed as the blade fell. Wait, that can't be. I'm telling you this. Am I? Or is this another hallucination? Listen closer. The whispers are back. They're coming for you too. Story 2. Have you ever heard drums coming from the ocean at night? Not from a party or a boat, just the waves themselves, beating like a heart that won't stop. I still hear them sometimes when I close my eyes. If you ever visit a quiet island and the sea starts to drum, leave before sunrise. This is why. My name is Emily. Last summer, my family wanted the perfect vacation. Mom, Lisa, and Dad, Tom, worked hard all year, and they promised me and my brother Jack something special. We flew to a tiny Caribbean island nobody talks about much. White sand, clear water, and old Mayan ruins hidden in the jungle. The brochure called it Untouched Paradise. We thought it sounded magical. We stayed in a beautiful villa right on the beach. Big windows, wooden floors, the ocean only steps away. The first 2 days were perfect. We swam, laughed, took a million photos. On the third day, we booked a guided tour to see the forbidden temples deep in the jungle. The guide warned us, "Stay on the path. Don't touch anything." The ruins were sacred, he said, and some places were still protected by old beliefs. Jack, being 15 and thinking he's invincible, got bored halfway through. While the guide explained carvings on a wall, Jack slipped away. I saw him disappear behind vines. I whispered his name, but he didn't answer. When he came back 10 minutes later, his face was pale. He held nothing, but his hands were shaking. "I just looked," he said. "There was this stone thing, a face with red eyes. I touched it. It felt warm." The guide went white when Jack described it. He rushed us back to the trail and ended the tour early. That night, the drumming started. I woke up first. A low, steady beat, boom, 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 coming from outside. Not loud, but deep, like it was inside my chest. I went to the window. The moon lit the beach silver, and there they were, shadowy people dancing in a slow circle near the water. Tall, thin, moving like smoke. Their eyes glowed faint green, like fireflies. I rubbed my eyes, but they stayed. Mom woke up next, then Dad and Jack. We all stood at the window, too scared to speak. After a while, the figures stopped dancing and just stared at our villa. Then they walked into the waves and vanished. The next morning, we all felt hot. Not sunburn hot, fever hot. Our skin burned, heads throbbed. We thought it was food poisoning or too much sun, but the fever got worse. That afternoon, I started hearing voices, soft at first, like whispers in the wind. "Come to the water. Join us. The sea is waiting." They sounded kind, almost loving. I found myself walking toward the door, barefoot, ready to open it and run to the ocean. Mom caught me by the arm and pulled me back. Her eyes were wide with fear. Dad noticed the walls first. Overnight, strange symbols had appeared, carved deep into the wood. Swirls, snakes, faces with those same red eyes Jack described. They weren't there when we went to bed. No one could have come in. The doors were locked. Jack got it worst. He sat in the corner, rocking, muttering about stone knives and altars. He said he saw himself tied down, heart cut out, over and over. Mom cried and held him. Dad tried the phone, no signal. The radio, static. We were alone. On the fourth day, we saw a boat far out on the horizon. Dad ran to the beach, waving a bright towel. The boat turned and came closer. We cheered, hugging each other. Help at last. 3 men stepped onto the sand. They wore simple clothes, smiled kindly, and spoke perfect English. "We saw your signal," the oldest one said. "Storm knocked out communications. We'll take you to the main island." We grabbed our bags and followed them to the boat, relief washing over us. But as we walked deeper into the mangroves toward their hidden dock, something felt wrong. The path narrowed. The air grew thick. I looked back. The villa was already out of sight. The men stopped smiling. The oldest one spoke again, voice low. The guardian stone was touched. "Balance must return." They grabbed us before we could run. Strong hands, ropes from nowhere. Jack screamed. Mom begged. Dad fought, but they hit him hard. They dragged us through the jungle, back to the ruins. The temple looked different at night. Torches burning, drums louder than ever. Dozens of people waited, faces painted, eyes glowing just like the dancers on the beach. Descendants, they called themselves, keepers of the old ways. They tied us to stone altars in a circle. The leader held a black knife, chanting words I didn't understand. The drums matched my heartbeat. I looked at my family, Mom crying silently, Dad bleeding from his head, Jack staring blank like he was already gone. The knife rose, but it never fell. Sometimes, late at night, I wake up and hear those drums again. I'm back in my room, safe, miles away. Doctors said we escaped. Hallucinations from fever, they claimed. We were found on the beach, dehydrated, talking nonsense. But every night the whispers return, gentle and patient. "Come home, Emily. The sea is waiting." And some nights I stand at my window, staring at the dark water, feeling the pull. If you ever hear drums from the ocean, run. Story 3. Have you ever been driving on an empty road and felt like someone was waiting for you to break down? Like the desert itself picks who gets to leave? I used to laugh at stories like that. Now I check my car 3 times before any trip, and I still wake up tasting dust. This is what happened to us. If you ever drive through Nevada alone, keep going, no matter how friendly the help looks. My name is Emma. David and I were 32 and 34, married 6 years, and finally taking the big American road trip we always talked about. We wanted red rocks, starry nights, cheap motels with neon signs. We left California with a full tank, cooler of snacks, and playlists for every mood. The Southwest was beautiful, canyons glowing orange, highways stretching forever. We felt free. Then, somewhere in the middle of Nevada, the car coughed and died. Just stopped on a long, flat road with nothing but sand and scrub brush on both sides. Heat shimmered off the asphalt. No bars on our phones, no other cars for hours. We put the hood up, sat in what little shade the car gave, and waited. Around late afternoon, we heard an engine. A dusty old pickup appeared like a mirage. It pulled up slow. The driver was a big man in a faded cap and plaid shirt. He smiled wide, teeth too white for the dust on his face. "Name's Earl," he said. "Looks like you folks need help. I got tools back at the ranch, only 10 miles off the highway. I can tow you there, fix you up by morning." He seemed kind, spoke slow and calm. We were thirsty, sunburned, and scared of night in the desert. We said yes. The ranch was hidden down a dirt track behind hills, barbed wire fences, barking dogs chained to posts, a few tired buildings, no neighbors. Earl's wife, a thin woman with hard eyes, gave us cold lemonade and showed us to a small guest room. "Rest up," she said. "Dinner later." The door clicked shut behind us. We heard a lock turn. That night, we couldn't sleep. The house was quiet. Then we heard Earl's low voice through the wall. Got fresh meat this time. Young, healthy, good parts. Laughter followed, more voices than we expected. My stomach turned cold. David whispered, "We need to get out." We waited until the house went silent. The door was locked, but the window slid open easy. We crept down the hall. I saw a door to the basement, cracked open, light glowing below. I don't know why I went down those stairs. Maybe I needed to prove it wasn't real. But it was. The basement smelled like bleach and blood. Chains hung from beams. 5 people, dirty, thin, eyes empty, sat bolted to the floor. Surgical tools lay on a metal table, saws, knives, jars with things floating inside. One man lifted his head and mouthed, "Run." I backed away, heart hammering, and bumped into David. We ran upstairs. They were waiting. Earl, his wife, 2 grown sons, all holding guns or knives. They smiled like this was normal. "Been doing this 20 years, Earl said. "Travelers break down, we help. Parts go to folks who pay big. No one looks hard out here." David charged the nearest son, knocked the knife away. I grabbed a lamp and swung. We fought dirty, desperate. David took a blade in his arm. I felt blood hot on my face, but we broke past them and ran out the back door. The desert night was black and huge. Dogs chased, barking wild. Gunshots cracked behind us. We ran over rocks, through thorny bushes that tore our skin. No idea where we were going, just away. Hours passed. Thirst burned our throats. The moon lit sand and cactus. We heard trucks circling far off, headlights sweeping. David started stumbling. Blood loss, heat, fear. I dragged him into a dry wash and covered us with brush. We lay there shaking as boots crunched nearby. Voices called our names, laughing. "Come back! We'll make it quick!" They passed close enough. I saw Earl's face in the moonlight, happy, like he was hunting deer. Dawn came pink and brutal. The voices faded. We crawled until we hit the highway. A trucker finally stopped, saw the blood and terror, drove us straight to a hospital. Police went to the ranch. They found the basement, the prisoners, jars of organs on ice. Earl's family was gone, vanished into the desert like smoke. David lived. We both have scars outside and inside. We don't talk about the road trip anymore. But sometimes, when I'm driving alone and see a car stopped on the shoulder, I speed up. And if a dusty pickup ever pulls behind me, I floor it until the needle shakes. Because out there, help isn't always help. And the desert is still waiting for the next breakdown. Story 4. Have you ever been on a ship in the middle of the ocean and heard someone screaming far below deck, like the sound is coming up through the pipes? I still hear it sometimes, even on dry land. If you're ever on a cruise and people start getting sick all at once, don't wait for the captain's announcement. Jump, this is what happened to us. My name is Sophia. After a hard year, Carlos working double shifts, me juggling jobs and the kids, both of us too tired to talk, we booked a big Mediterranean cruise. The ship was huge. Pools, theaters, restaurants, kids' clubs. Mia was 8, Luca only 5. We wanted to give them magic. The first 2 days were perfect. Sunshine, ice cream, dolphin sightings. The children laughed so much their cheeks hurt. Carlos and I held hands like teenagers again. On the 3rd morning, people started throwing up in the breakfast buffet line. At first, everyone joked about norovirus or bad shrimp. The crew handed out ginger pills and told us to rest. But by lunch, it was worse. Fever, shaking, eyes turning red. A man near the pool began growling and attacked a waiter. Blood everywhere. Security dragged him away, but more passengers collapsed, then got back up wrong, fast, angry, hungry. We ran to our cabin on deck 7 and locked the door. I pushed the dresser against it, while Carlos turned on the TV. Emergency broadcast, remain calm, illness is contained. Then the power flickered and died. Through the peephole, I watched the hallway turn into hell. A steward I'd smiled at yesterday stumbled past, veins black under his skin, mouth foaming. He slammed into our neighbor's door until it broke. Screams followed, then wet tearing sounds. The kids clung to me, crying quietly. Luca kept asking, "Is Daddy going to fix it?" Carlos kissed their heads and said, "I'm getting water and food, stay with Mommy." I begged him not to go, but we had almost nothing left. He took the fire axe from the hallway case and slipped out. He was gone too long. When the door opened again, Carlos fell inside, bleeding from his arm. Deep teeth marks. He barricaded the door behind him and collapsed. "I got canned food," he whispered, pushing a bag toward me. "But one of them bit me in the stairwell." His eyes were already starting to redden. Fever burned his skin. We all cried then. Mia understood enough to be terrified. Luca just held his dad's hand. Carlos made me promise. "If I turn, you stop me before I hurt them." I couldn't speak. He pressed the axe into my shaking hands. The ship started drifting. No engines, no lights. Alarms blared, then stopped. Smoke drifted under the door. Fires in the kitchens no one was putting out. Over the hours, Carlos got worse. He sweated, twitched, growled low in his throat. When his eyes went fully bloodshot, he tied himself to the bedpost with bed sheets. "Go to the top deck," he rasped. "Helicopters will come." Night fell black. The screams grew fewer, replaced by wet, dragging sounds in the corridors. I waited until Carlos's breathing turned to snarls. He strained against the sheets, teeth snapping. "Sophia, do it." Tears blurred everything, but I raised the axe. One swing. I still feel it in my arms. We left him there. I carried Luca, held Mia's hand, and we stepped into the hallway. Blood painted the walls. Bodies everywhere, some still moving. We climbed stairs slick with gore, hiding in shadows when things shuffled past. On the pool deck, moonlight showed chaos. Overturned chairs, floating limbs in red water. Infected roamed in packs, sniffing the air. We reached the helipad as dawn broke gray. 2 helicopters hovered, lowering ropes. Crew in hazmat suits waved us forward, but dozens of infected surged from below, drawn by the noise. They swarmed the deck. I pushed the children toward the ropes first. A soldier pulled Mia up, then Luca. Hands grabbed my legs, cold, strong. I kicked, screamed, then weight lifted me. The soldier had me. Below, the infected tore into the last passengers still running. We flew away as the ship burned in the distance, black smoke against pink sky. The Navy quarantined us for weeks. Tests, questions, nightmares. They said a rogue scientist smuggled an experimental virus in the water system. Most of the ship's 3,000 souls were gone. Mia and Luca survived. We hug tighter now, talk about Carlos every day. But at night, when the house is quiet, I hear it. Distant screaming rising through pipes, like the ocean itself is still crying. If you ever board a cruise and the water tastes strange, don't drink it. Just jump. Story 5. Have you ever heard the snow scream? Not the wind or the creaking trees, just the snow itself, rushing down the mountain like it's alive and angry. I heard it once and I still wake up gasping, feeling it crush my chest. If someone warns you about unstable snow, listen. This is why. My name is Rachel. Alex and I got married in November, both of us crazy about skiing. For our honeymoon, we booked the fanciest resort in the Swiss Alps. Steaming hot tubs, fireplaces, fresh powder every morning. We couldn't wait. The chalet was perfect. Wooden beams, soft blankets, windows full of white peaks. We spent days flying down groomed runs, laughing, kissing at the bottom. Newlywed heaven. On our 4th day, the snow was deep and untouched. Locals at the lift whispered about avalanche risk. Warm sun, heavy new snow, danger signs posted everywhere. But we saw fresh tracks leading off-piste into a wide bowl no one had touched. "Just one run," Alex said, eyes shining. "Come on, babe, live a little." My heart raced with excitement. We ducked the rope and skied into silence. The powder was perfect. Light, fast, dreamy. We whooped and carved huge turns. Then I heard it, a deep crack like thunder inside the mountain. I looked up. The whole slope above us was moving. A white wall roaring down, taller than houses. We tried to outrun it. Skis flying, poles pumping, but the snow hit like a train. It lifted me, spun me, slammed me down. Everything went black and heavy. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Tons of snow packed around me, hard as concrete. I don't know how long I fought. Minutes? Hours? I clawed upward, fingers raw, lungs burning. Finally, my hand broke through. I dug a small hole, gasped freezing air, saw stars. I was half buried on the surface, one arm free, the rest trapped. I screamed Alex's name. No answer. I dug for hours. My gloves tore, nails split. At last I found him, 10 feet away, deeper, only his face showing. His leg was twisted wrong, pinned under a huge tree the avalanche carried down. Blood soaked the snow around him. He was awake, pale, teeth chattering. "Rachel," he whispered. "It hurts." Night came fast in the mountains. Temperature dropped hard, wind howled. We shared body heat as much as we could, but the cold crawled inside our bones. Alex's voice grew weak. Then we heard them. Wolves. First one howl, then a pack answering. They smelled his blood. Yellow eyes appeared in the dark, circling closer. I grabbed my ski poles, swung at shadows. The wolves snarled, snapped, stayed just out of reach. One lunged. I stabbed its shoulder. It yelped and backed off, but more came. I screamed until my throat bled, trying to scare them. Exhaustion made everything fuzzy. That's when the ghosts started. Pale figures in old-fashioned ski clothes stood around us, faces blue, eyes empty. I recognized some from photos in the resort lobby, people who died in past avalanches. A woman with frost in her hair leaned close. "Leave him," she whispered. "Save yourself." A man pointed at Alex. "He's already gone. Run." Their voices were soft, kind, like they wanted to help. I shook my head, cried, told them to go away. But they kept coming back, colder each time. Alex's breathing slowed. He looked at me, lips purple. "I'm sorry," he said. "Should have listened." I told him I loved him, held his face. He smiled once, then closed his eyes. The wolves howled louder like they knew. I don't remember firing the flare. My hands were too numb. But red light shot into the sky. Hours later, maybe minutes, time was broken. Helicopter lights swept over the snow. Voices shouted in German. Rescuers dug fast, pulled me out. I begged them to save Alex. They tried, but he was already still. They airlifted me to hospital. Frostbite, broken ribs, shock. I lived. Alex didn't. The resort sent flowers. Everyone said how tragic, how unlucky. But I know the truth. We ignored the warnings. We thought we were invincible because we were in love. Now, every winter I hear that crack in my dreams. Snow rushing, wolves howling, ghosts whispering. Sometimes I see Alex's face in the window, blue and quiet, waiting for me to join him. If you're ever on a mountain and the snow feels wrong, heavy, hollow, angry, turn around. Because the mountain doesn't care how much you love each other. It just buries you the same. Story 6. Have you ever walked into an old building and felt like the walls were breathing, watching you with eyes you can't see? I felt it once, in a place that should have stayed forgotten. Now, every shadow in my room makes me wonder if they're still following. If you ever think of exploring ruins for fun, don't. This is what they can do to you. My name is Maya. I'm 20, studying art in college, and last summer my family decided on a trip to Prague. Mom, Priya, and Dad, Arav, wanted something different, not the usual tourist spots. My brother Rohan, 22 and always up for adventure, found this abandoned asylum online. Urban exploration, he called it. Thrilling photos, off the beaten path. We ignored the no trespassing signs, climbed a fence under gray skies, and slipped inside through a broken window. The air hit us first, musty like wet dirt and old medicine. The halls were crumbling, wallpaper peeling like skin. We snapped pictures of rusted beds and shattered glass. Deeper in, we found the bad stuff. Electroshock machines covered in dust, wires dangling like veins. Patient logs scattered on floors detailed horrors from WoW 2, lobotomies, experiments on prisoners. Ice picks through the eyes, one entry said, to quiet the screams. Mom shivered, but laughed it off. Creepy history, she said. Dad posed for a photo next to a gurney. Rohan wandered ahead, phone flashlight bouncing. We went further, past locked wards we pried open. Doors started slamming behind us. No wind, just bang after bang. The air turned cold like stepping into a freezer. Our breaths puffed white. Earthquake? Dad joked. But Prague doesn't have those. Rohan called from a side room. Guys, check this out. We followed. He was staring at a wall covered in scratches, names, pleas for help. Then he stepped in alone. The door shut hard. We yanked it, but it stuck. When it finally creaked open, Rohan stood there different. His eyes were wrong, pupils huge, black. He spoke in tongues, a guttural language like old German mixed with growls. Get away, Mom whispered. But he lunged at me, hands like claws, strength impossible for his skinny frame. He pinned me to the floor, nails digging into my arms. Blood welled. Dad pulled him off, but Rohan twisted free, smashing a chair against the wall. Mom screamed, It's the spirits! The inmates! They're here! She was right. Shadows moved on the walls, turning into decaying figures, skin hanging loose, eyes hollow, clawing at the plaster like they wanted out. Whispers filled the air. Join us. Feel the pain. One apparition reached for me, fingers bony and cold. I felt it touch my skin, burning like ice. Dad grabbed us. Tunnels, there must be a way out. We ran through crumbling passages below, flashlights dying one by one. The illusion started then. I saw my childhood nightmare, the car accident when I was 6, reliving the crash, metal twisting, my imaginary friend dying again. But it felt real, blood on my hands, screams in my ears. Rohan collapsed, babbling about seeing us all dead, throats cut like the logs described. Mom prayed in Hindi, tears freezing on her cheeks. Dad pushed forward, but walls shifted, floors cracked. The building shook, seismic or ghosts raging. I don't know. Chunks of ceiling fell, dust choking us. A spirit grabbed Rohan's leg, pulling him back. He howled, eyes rolling white. We fought it off, but his skin blistered where it touched. Finally, we burst through a grate into the street, night air hitting like a slap. People stared as we stumbled out, bleeding, covered in grime, Rohan twitching and muttering. We flew home next day. Doctors said shock, trauma. But Rohan wasn't right. He woke screaming, speaking that language, throwing things without touching them. We tried therapy, but it was like an exorcism. Priests, rituals, him tied down as shadows danced in the room. He's better now, mostly. Sleeps with lights on. But it followed us. Sometimes I hear scratches in the walls at home, feel cold breaths on my neck, see faces in mirrors that aren't mine. Rohan whispers things he shouldn't know, secrets from my past. Mom prays more. Dad checks doors obsessively. If you ever see an old asylum and think it's just ruins, remember, the dead don't forget. They wait for fools like us, and sometimes they come home with you. For more stories like this, share and subscribe Goofy Horror.